time. I would ask the clerk to please take the roll. I see we have a few supervisors that are not signed in as of yet. Someone was busy putting the list together. I see the roll has been taken, and I would ask Supervisor Minor to please come forward for the invocation. I would ask the body to please rise for that and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
If you'd bow your head in prayer, please. Our gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you today grateful for the opportunity to freely assemble in order to serve our constituents. We humbly ask you to be with us and to provide us the patience, knowledge, and understanding to enable us to make the best decisions for the souls in this portion of your world. Be with those that protect us and provide peace and comfort to their families. All of this we ask in your name. Amen.
Amen. Please join the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning and welcome, everybody.
Good morning.
First thing on our agenda here today, we're going to flip this agenda a little bit because of some time constraints that actually I have. But first thing is the acceptance of the minutes of the previous meeting. I have a motion by Hamilton, a second by Wagner to approve those. Is there any discussion on those minutes from the previous meeting? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that motion carries. Excusals today, we have none. Resignations, we have none. Have several, or one appointment today, and that's Danielle Yuska to the ADRC of Central Wisconsin Board, and I have a motion by Hamilton to approve that, and a second by Zerflu. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that motion carries. And as a note while I'm there, Doug Mahan, one of our supervisors, was just elected as the chairman of the ADRC. Congratulations, Doug. Under reappointments today, we have Lori Slattery-Smith and to a 3-year term on the Health and Human Services Committee, as well as Lance Blittle and Brad Hamilton to 2-year terms on the ITBEC Board. Motion to that effect would be in order by Wagner, second by Bry. Any discussion on those? All in favor, please signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries. Third thing on the agenda is the confirmation of the County Board Committee. Need a motion to that effect. So by Rosar, second by Hamilton. Any discussion on those? All in favor, please signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay, in that motion, we have one negative vote there, I believe. Okay. First thing we're going to do today is go to the executive. Well, we have some referrals there that went to the appropriate people. Some of those to the Judicial and Legislative Committee, some to the Seat Committee, but everywhere that was appropriate, those ended up. We're going to go directly to the Executive Committee minutes and the bonding today because we have a lot of people here for those issues. When we're done with that, we'll then go immediately back to the agenda as published. So the Executive Committee minutes, page 11 in your packet. Page 11. Any discussion there? 12. Page 13. The joint meeting of the Executive Committee and the Subcommittee on the next one there on 14. And 15, an attendance sheet on 16, a report from Venture Architects, and their estimate on what those services would cost on 17 and 18. The Executive Committee meeting of Monday, April 25th is on 19, 20, and 21, and again that dealt with the River Block building. We had a meeting on Tuesday, May 3rd, that dealt with the River Block building and the relocation of the courthouse apartments, and that began on 22 and went through 24. We have the minutes of the monthly letter of comments from the Maintenance Department on 25, from the Finance Department on 26 and 27, the Treasurer's Report on 28, Information Technology, beginning with April's report on 29, 30, going through 31. Monthly letter of comments from Human Resources on 32. And then that brings us to the first resolution in the packet. And I know that all of you have been, or many of you have been involved in the river block discussion with the subcommittee and the committees as a whole. Went through those pretty quick, but almost every county board chair or county board member has been involved in that process in some way whatsoever. Page 33 in your packet is a resolution from the executive, the Highway, Infrastructure and Recreation Committee, and this is the $5 million bonding issue for the roads. If the clerk would please read that.
This will be Resolution 16-5-1. Initial resolution authorizing the issuance of general obligation promissory notes, fiscal note not to exceed $5 million.
Okay, you've heard the reading of the resolution. I have a motion by Hamilton, a second by Bry. Hey, this has also been discussed at length at every committee, but I will open this up for discussion. Any discussion on this issue? Any discussion? Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, I would ask you to please vote. Dave, you're not there. You go. Ken, you're still voting. And that resolution passed 17-2. And that is a continuation of the projects that we started several years ago. And we're actually moving those along at a much quicker rate than we had anticipated. So that may wind up faster than we had anticipated. Next page in your packet is 40, the one that we're dealing with. And this is a resolution from the Executive Committee. Deals again with the issuance of general obligation promises.
This will be Resolution 16-5-2. Initial resolution authorizing the issuance of general obligation promissory notes, fiscal note not to exceed $5 million.
I have a motion by Minor and a second by Fire. Discussion on this resolution. Discussion on the resolution. Supervisor Clendenning?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm in support of this resolution wholeheartedly. But at the same time, I would like to see this, and I know this is going to be unheard, but I think this should go to a public property committee to deal with this. It's a public property committee would be in charge of this and all the property in the annex and that stuff. I just think we're missing the boat here. In the previous resolution that we passed, the highway department is in charge of basically that resolution and that $5 million. I see nobody but the executive committee, of course, nobody in charge of this, of spending it on the right thing or the wrong thing. That's why I think it should be a 5-person committee, probably set up for 2 years. I'm still voting for it, but I hope that this would be heard. Thank you.
Any other discussion on the resolution? Supervisor Ashby.
No, thank you, Mr. Chairman. When I sat down and put some numbers together here, I chose $5 million into 30 years. They give me $167,000 a year on the payment. And when you look at the utilities and the interest and the maintenance of that building, I'm sure we're going to run another 150 or more on it. So we're going to have over $300,000 a year on this project. So on a rental basis, my people can't see where we should put in that kind of money into rental property. After 30 years, we really haven't got anything. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any further discussion? Supervisor Lynch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a real problem with this. We started out that we paid $2 million for the building. We put $1 million into remodeling. It's hard for me to believe that we need to spend, now you're telling us $3 million to remodel. That building was built for 400 office people, operated as such, and now we're going to spend $3 million for 200 people? There's something that just doesn't fit here. I'm going to be voting no until we can get that remodeling cost down. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Any further discussion on this resolution? Any further discussion? Please vote. Curry, you're not confirmed yet. A resolution passed 15-4. 15-4. Page 41 in your packet is the resolution to accept tax deeded property. I'd also ask the clerk to please read that resolution.
This will be Resolution 16-5-3, to accept offer of sale of tax deeded property. Fiscal note, offered amount of $5,000, minus real estate taxes, publication fees, abstracting fees, maintenance fees, for a loss of $6,211.42.
A motion by Clendenny, a second by Latham. Any discussion on this resolution? Any discussion? Please vote. That resolution passed unanimously. And I thank you for your indulgence on that part of the packet. We will now go back to the agenda as published. The agenda as published. Which takes me to public comment. See, we have a lot of people here from the public today. Anyone wishing to make a statement, we'll proceed to the microphone. Please state your name for the record, and you'll have up to 3 minutes to speak to the issue. So, under public comment, anybody who would like to take the microphone has that opportunity. Mr. Dimick. Just before you start, I'll give everybody a 15-second notice. I'll try not to interrupt you, but I'll make a comment when we get to that.
First of all, I gotta get this thing to work.
We won't time it till it works.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for allowing me to speak. Hello, my name is Bruce Dimick, and I'm a citizen of the town of Saratoga. I would like to say a few words about democracy and the cynicism that a large percentage of the U.S. population has regarding the current state of our governments. This unease embraces all forms of government, from the national level down to the local level, including the county board. Right now, the U.S. Congress has a job approval rating of about 11%. The Supreme Court has an approval rating of 45%, and the President has an approval rating of 51%. Governor Scott Walker has an approval rating of about 43%. We have no comparable data for the Wood County Board. Why the cynicism? There is no one simple answer, but I think a lot of it has to do with the government at all levels not responding to the needs of the people, but constantly being differential and accommodating to the rich and the powerful. On the Wood County Board, we had one outstanding committee chairman who has done everything within his power to look after the interests of the average citizen. That former chairman of the Judicial and Legislative Committee, Bill Clendenny, has been deposed by the board chair, Lance Plemmel. Bill is the only committee chair who was removed from his chairmanship this time around. Because of this action, there's a lot more of our fellow Wood County citizens that have joined the ranks of the cynical when it comes to the Wood County government. In some other counties here in Wisconsin, committees elect their own chair. This dilutes the power of the board chair and makes county government more democratic. I would urge the Wood County Board to work towards adopting this change. Right now, we have way too much power concentrated in the position of the board chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dimick. Further public comment?
Hello, my name is Christy Greening from Wisconsin Rapids Township of Saratoga, and I have many different public messages that I would like to share here today. Unfortunately, I only have 3 minutes and a voice that's acting up. So I had to ask myself, what is the one most important message I wanted the Wood County Board to hear today? Do I spend my 3 minutes sharing my absolute disgust with Chairman Plemmel and his changing of the committee chairs, or do I figure that I just covered that in the paper this past week? do I address my comments to Supervisor Wagner and put him on notice that we are done tolerating your disrespectful and unprofessional behavior that you have directed to the citizens of this county. If it continues, we are going to be very open from here on out and very public in our disagreement with how you treat the citizens you represent. Then I thought perhaps I should maybe go in an entirely different route and again discuss the air quality concerns and the water quality concerns of both Saratoga and the entire Wood County as a whole. And I wondered to myself, do you supervisors here on the county board even realize that the environmental impact statement that the DNR is making for the proposed Wysocki CAFO has been delayed again? It's delayed again because of water quality concerns. Folks in the DNR are resigning because they do not want their name on this document that states clearly, and DNR has admitted, that it will contaminate and pollute public drinking water and groundwater in Saratoga. So I have to be left wondering, do you even care? And the longer I thought about it and what message I wanted to share, I decided it was not fair to spank the entire Wood County Board for the sins of the few that are on the elected executive committee. Who I really want to target my message to is the numerous supervisors that have called me and shared their empathy toward our plight, who have agreed wholeheartedly that leadership of this county board currently is one of greed, power, and dysfunction. And I heard very clearly from numerous of you that you are as fed up as the citizens of this county. So in the end, I finally decided on what my message is. And it is not to the executive board. It is to you folks sitting here, the supervisors in the cheap seats on the floor. You have more power than you think. You have the power to bring this county board back to one that demonstrates integrity, that demonstrates ethics, and that represents the citizens of this entire county. It is time to stand up to the executive committee and the leaders of this board and say no more.
15.
To all the supervisors who have voiced your frustrations to me, know clearly, you are in the majority. Those of you that are silent, sitting here on the board, that are in agreement, are in the majority, and you have the power to make the change.
That's time.
Stand up and do what's right. Find your voice, find your courage, and support the citizens that you represent. Thank you.
Additional public comment? Mr. Ham.
Hi, my name is Brian Ham. I'm from the Township of Saratoga. After nearly 4 years of speaking up and imploring our Wood County Board to assist the businesses and the residents of southern Wood County in protecting and preserving our groundwater, I've come to the conclusion that our county board is defined and separated into the three following factions. The first group is the haves. You know who you are. We, along with your peers, know who you are. You are the seriously educated, genuinely concerned group that has already courageously not acknowledged the existing and potential threats to our state's and our county's groundwater. For this group, we are so very, very grateful. The second group, you are the hopefuls. You know who you are. Your peers and we know who you are. You are the pivotal and influential core reluctantly stuck in the middle. We know that you are with us. We hope that soon you will stand up, join your ethical and committed partners, and assist them in finally adding Wood County to the list of other boards around the state that care enough about their residents and businesses to stare down the barrel of this water issue and address it scientifically, not politically. We wait patiently yet anxiously for you to step forward. We need you. Please, please hear us. The third and final group that complete our county board, you're the have-nots. You know who you are. We know who you are, and your peers know who you are. Your faction comprises a minority of the Wood County Board that at every turn during this 4-year struggle to protect our water has displayed enough outright obstinance, indifference to the facts, self-serving agendas, and even temper tantrums to disqualify the collective Wood County Board from resembling any of the unified functional boards around this state that have taken definitive serious action while cooperatively addressing the issue of water. The proposed project for the southern portion of the county over which you preside stands to be one of, if not the biggest transformations of land use in this county's history. It will be placed on a soil geology considered the most susceptible to groundwater contamination in the entire state. And yet we sit here 4 years later, you've done nothing. It is long past due for this group of dissenters to check your personal and political baggage at the door and get to work for the people that you claim to represent. For 4 full years, you have failed us. You've embarrassed yourself. We deserve better.
Additional public comment? Please, would you like?
Can I go around that way?
Yeah, but there's somebody else going up right now too, so.
Good morning. John Andrizzi, the town of Rome. I'm reading this for Don Easted, also the town of Rome, who was unable to be here today. Wood County board members, my name is Don Easted, and I live in the town of Rome in Adams County. I understand that politically you owe me nothing as an Adams County resident, but I do appreciate the opportunity to address you today. I'd like to respond to the email I sent to all of you last week. I understand that Saratoga should have been more timely in their creation of zoning in their community. I also understand that your corporate counsel indicated a manure spray ordinance could be challenged in courts, as our Adams County corporate counsel initially said the same thing. The key difference is this: in Adams County, a 10 citizens advisory group from the community, including a representative of the largest dairy CAFO operation in the state, the owner of a 3,400 acre vegetable grower operation, a public health official, a Farm Bureau representative, a family dairy farmer, a nursery operator, and lakes and stream residents recognized the need to protect its citizens from potential effects of aerial spraying of manure. As a group, we unanimously agreed that a recommendation would be made to our Land and Water Committee, who then took it through to its eventual approval. In spite of early concerns about legal challenges, the ordinance has been reapproved each of the past 2 years and remains unchallenged by some very large growers in Adams County. It's an example of citizens and ag interests working together for reasonable regulation, and a county board weighing in all interests, having the courage to do the right thing for all concerned. When I witnessed a Wood County board member turning his back on a citizen, trying to educate him about manure spraying, and outright disrespect shown by committee heads to those trying to express their concerns, it made me appreciate my own county all the more. And recently, the realignment of committee assignments and to further limit the voice of those concerned about protecting the water, the disrespect continues. I chuckled when I heard a Wood County board member had stated that driving into Adams County was stepping back in time 10 years. So as an Adams County resident who lives closer to Wood County commerce than to commerce in my own county, your lack of concern for potential environment issues may affect surrounding communities are beginning to have an effect on where I spend my money. There are 2 facts that I have come to know. First, pollution does not respect county lines, and second, people vote their dollars when their legitimate concerns, including health issues, are not being addressed. Our last 2 Rome Citizen CAFO meetings were attended by over 500 people, many of whom expressed their concern about needs of this recreational community being ignored in the face of proposed CAFO next door. For us in Rome, the recreational community, it's all about preservation of the water, both in quality and quantity, and many of us are concerned that you don't value that.
Will you please state your name?
Good morning, new face here. Kit Belanger. I'm relatively new to Saratoga. My mailing address is Wisconsin Rapids. We are right next door. I want to call attention to the first thing that I noticed when I walked in today. We said a prayer. We said a prayer for all of our Board of Supervisors to do what is in the best interest of their citizens and their environment. You guys work for us. And I think you're doing a good job for the most part. There are a few people that are very disrespectful to the citizens, and Mr. Wagner is not happy with me right now, but you know what? You were really nasty the last time I was at these meetings. I took time off of work to come to this meeting today because I feel really strongly about this. You worked for me. Show me some respect. I show you respect. You do a good job, but you need to be nice to us. We are trying, we're all in this together. If we don't have clean water, clean air, we've got nothing. I'm very concerned that Mr. Clendenning was asked to step down. I'm sure it was a strong ask. He was replaced by Mr. Wagner, who is very unsympathetic to our environment, to our clean water. And I'm sorry, I can see you, Mr. Wagner, and please be respectful to me. This is my time, okay? I am not really prepared. Like I say, I did come off of work today to come over here because this is very important. I want to thank the board that really does help us out here. Like I said, we've been working on this for 3 or 4 years. I moved into that community not really having any idea what was going on, and now it's going to be right on the front line. Right across the street from my house is going to be clear cut and sprayed with manure on a daily basis if this happens. I'm really upset about that. I really want you guys to do what's right. Again, I go back to the prayer that you guys and we all said this morning, do what's right for the citizens of Wisconsin Rapids. Thank you.
My name is Dwayne Huffmeister. I'm a lifelong resident of Wood County. How much more evidence do you need? How many more articles in the newspaper or on radio or on TV do you need before you act? Think of all the people from different areas that have testified before this board about the damage done to their water because of a CAFO moved into their area. You are elected officials. Your job is to establish rules, regulations, etc. to protect us. It's about time that you do that.
Thank you. Further public comment?
Hello, my name is Jim Sullivan. I was born here in Wood County. Other than a couple of tours in Vietnam, I spent my complete life, my adult life in Wood County. To me, this gathering, our democracy, we were told that the people control it. It's the government by the people, for the people. I think most of you people understand by now, Southern Wood County does not want what's going on. We want our water clear, our air breathable, and if it's by the people, for the people, and we don't want it, how can you reject it? That's all I'm going to say. Thank you.
Good morning.
Morning, Jim.
Thank you for the chance to speak. My name is Jim Stelmach. I'm a recent addition to Town of Siegel, a return to Wood County. There was a program on this morning that caught my ear, and the subjects I've been listening to are extremely important to all of you. We all need clean water, but the subject I'm going to mention, if we're people that believe in the Constitution, if we're people that believe in the man up above, no matter what church we choose to practice in. Back in April, Liz Welter wrote an article, I called it an ad, regarding a 3-hour session at the Holiday Inn in Marshfield, Wisconsin, for all of us to be schooled on the Muslim religion, Islam. The article didn't mention Sharia law. Walter and I had a conversation. I thought I was respectful. Bob Menser didn't necessarily believe I was. Not a problem. I don't know how many people attended that. I understand there were pictures in the paper later on. Maybe Karen would have a better view than I, an occasional reader. However, it was announced this morning on the radio, if you listen to the right one, for those of you that are concerned about Sharia law and Islam. Go to Grace Baptist Church in Plover tonight, 1500 Hoover Avenue, and listen to Mr. Osama. Aza Quinchas, Jeff Quinchas' wife, has a mother in Egypt. She's a Catholic. This gentleman that will speak grew up in Egypt, is well schooled on the Quran, and is a Christian. We all feel that maybe what we got in the White House currently, that the gentleman told us with 51% approval, I'm not in that group because we painted bullseyes on the back of a very good sheriff and all of his men in Wood County. So go and listen to Mr. Osama, and you decide if you have daughters and grandchildren that are female, and you read the Constitution and you love it. See if Sharia law matches with what you were schooled and taught. Please. God bless America.
Thank you. Any further public comment? Further?
Good morning. I'm Helen Donahue, a lifetime resident of the town of Saratoga, well, 55 years in Saratoga and a lifetime resident of Wood County. For the past 4 years, we have been attempting to work with our county board to put protections in for our air and water in the Saratoga area and across this county. However, instead of elected officials working with constituents of our county, all we have heard is complaining. Complaining how our town board is to blame for our circumstances, which in essence is true, and because of this, we should not be looking for the county for assistance. It is apparent that members of this board wish to punish the citizens of our community for the actions of our town board, which is unjust and unethical. We, the citizens, are not the enemy, and we deserve appropriate representation by our elected officials. At every turn and every suggestion made, we have faced constant opposition and excuses as to why the county board could not assist us. Yet in counties and townships all over Wisconsin, ordinances are being put in place to protect the citizens from the contamination and decimation of concentrated animal feeding operations. Ordinance against the aerial spraying of manure and operation ordinance that monitor factory farms. And still, Wood County does nothing. There are 33 new capos currently awaiting permitting within the DNR, 6 of which are targeting the central Wisconsin area. Although only 1 is currently within our county boundaries, it will not be the last one. They are coming to this area, and this board is refusing to take action to protect the citizens. What are you going to do when the next capo decides to land in your backyard? Will you pay attention and take action then? I ask that all of you start questioning the leadership of this county board and do your part to start moving this county in the right direction and away from the path of ignorance that is currently going on. Thank you.
Thank you. Further comment? Further comment?
Mr. Chairman, can I comment from this position rather than standing?
I'll certainly allow you help.
I don't think there's any better public servant than I've ever met than Bill Clendenning. I thought that he should have kept his chairmanship of Judicial and Legislative. That didn't happen. I'm not going to criticize this morning, but I am going to say a couple of things. You already witnessed it this morning. Who stood up at the very beginning of our county board meeting? Bill Clendenning. And it's always words like, well, I just feel, or I don't think it's right. Time after time. Before I was elected, I started coming to these meetings about 3 months before I was elected. And this man kept getting up 3-4 times a meeting with comments just like that. He served as my mentor. I admire him immensely. He's done a wonderful job on the county board. Yesterday, he said 24 years on the county board, 30 years on town boards. Choose to reuse. I could comment time after time after time. I run into Bill Clendenning all over Wood County. I just don't think his chairmanship should have been taken away from him. Those of you that know about the river block purchase, without Bill Clendenning, I'm not sure that would have happened. It's going to end up saving the county $45, $50, $55 million, and his chairmanship was taken away. I'm not going to criticize that decision. I've made some private comments already. But sir, Mr. Clendenning, it is a pleasure to serve with you. If I could walk over there right now, I'd shake your hand. Those of you that know him really well know he's quite the jokester. So the man from Spots, Wisconsin, I have lots of respect for you, sir. Thank you for all you do.
My name is Jean Borey, and I'm from the town of Saratoga, too. I'd like to stand up for my board. The siting bill was written and enacted in 2008, but it was written as retroactive back to 2005. And I don't know if any of you knew the word CAFO, but in 2025, I did not know the word CAFO. So I think our board was at a disadvantage. This was all done retroactively, politically. I just want you to know, when you vote for anything for water again, water is life. If you don't have water, you don't have life. And whether you live in Southwood County or Adams County, up to Marshfield, we were told at the very first time we were at a town board meeting about this CAFO that's they want to put in here, that after they got it in here and got it approved and in, they were going to Marshfield to put in one up there. So all of you folks from Marshfield, you better get some things into your town board laws right now to protect yourselves. We didn't have that opportunity. You did. Water is life. Never forget it. Thank you.
I guess I would, I'm just going to expand very briefly. This county has passed a resolution. It went to the state. It encouraged them to enact meaningful groundwater legislation. We talk about people being informed. Informed people know, and I've had the opportunity to have Supervisor Clendenning with me at some of those meetings, who's certainly been an advocate, where he knows as well as everybody else, if you're going to tell the truth to the public, that counties have no authority, zero, in the regulation of ground or surface water. Now, we're working really hard with the legislature and have tried to enact some initiatives at the state level to get some meaningful resolution. The best way to do that is to have those conversations in Madison with those decision makers, and those have been going on time after time. From a county's perspective, I might as well, and I said this the other day, adopt a nuclear proliferation treaty with North Korea is do this because it holds no authority. It is not an enforceable ordinance. 70 of 72 corporation councils around the state have weighed in on this. We understand the plight. We are working hard to get meaningful groundwater legislation done. When we bring other terms into that discussion, it falls upon deaf ears. And the committee heard that yesterday. The individuals who represent your group heard that yesterday. To say that nobody has offered to show up and speak to that group or to hear their concerns is also untrue. I have personally made that offer at least a dozen times to try to broker an agreement or to try to have that discussion. So that doesn't mean it's happened, and that doesn't mean it will happen, but the opportunity for that discussion is still open and occurs on a daily basis. So just want to share that. Additional public comment? I didn't mean to interrupt you. I didn't see that we had somebody coming up after that.
My name is Gloria Wicklund. I'm from the town of Rome, and I've been to many of these meetings, and we hear pretty much the same thing over and over again, and it feels like we're hitting our head against a brick wall. But let's look at another viewpoint of it. If this should go through, and we spoil our rivers and our streams, and we spoil our air, what is it going to take to clean it up? And who's going to pay? Where are the deep pockets going to be when we are left with the mess because of the illness and all the problems this is going to cause in the future? And you can count on it that what it's going to cost is going to be paid for by the taxpayers, not by the deep pockets. They're going to be gone. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Supervisor Wagner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was not going to speak. I need to straighten a couple things out, though. I chaired the manure, the spray irrigation committee. I tried as hard as I could to be as respectful of everybody I could. I allowed people to come up, and yet I sit here today and hear misrepresentation, equivocation, prevarication after prevarication of how rude I am. Listen, I love Wood County. It's my adopted home. I want clean water for Wood County. I can't do miracles. I can't create law that isn't on the books. Although I think the corporate counsel has accused me of trying to do that once or twice. But we are doing everything we can. We've tried every avenue. We've looked at every avenue. And to hear that I have been disrespectful, to read in the newspaper about incidents that didn't actually happen.
Come on.
It didn't actually happen, but have been spread out as a truth to make the people of Saratoga victims. You're not victims. I'm trying to help. I will do everything I can to help. I love Wood County, and I love clean water. And I want clean water. And we do know about the CAFOs up in the northern part of the county. And we do know that the soil situations are different. We don't have the same concerns that you do. But we're looking at it. We've done everything we can, and we will continue to do everything we can. I just told the Legislative and Judiciary Committee last week that the next great battle in clean water is not going to be fought here. It's going to be fought in the halls of the state legislature. And maybe they didn't tell you, but I offered to pay per diem for Mr. Clendenny, Mr. Lightman, to go down to Madison and lobby in behalf of Wood County to make sure that we were represented in that battle. I recognize that Mr. Clendenny is an advocate. I recognize that Mr. Lightman is an advocate. And I am offering to let them use their expertise and their ability for the benefit of Wood County, and I will not stand in their way. I think they forgot to mention that to you. I think they forgot to mention that I am trying to accommodate this. I am not the villain. Every movement needs a villain, and obviously Christie has decided I'm it. Let her be that. Fine. If that unifies you, wonderful. But I am not a villain, and I love Wood County, and I love clean water, and I'm going to fight for it. And I'm going to do it the right way. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Clendenny.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since it was brought up, I don't want to forget to mention. One thing, these people want you to get behind them. Let's talk about frac sand. You know where that started? Right here in Wood County. We need to keep those frac sand trucks off the road. They're damaging the roads. And by golly, we went to the Counties Association, and this county board got behind something, and we got something changed. We got an ordinance. When it comes to clean water, manure, or anything, well, we can't do anything. We can't. I'm sick of hearing that. Let's do something. Let's get behind this if you really mean it.
Supervisor Clendenny's been around a long time. He realizes that we do have authority in regard to roads, and we exercise that authority, and I'm happy to chair that for the state of Wisconsin. We also had a meeting the other day up in Marshfield, and it was disseminated to everybody at that meeting. It was a regional meeting of the Wisconsin Counties Association, and there were 2 items at the top of the agenda that were my initiatives this year. One were citing of different things. One were certainly agriculture, wind turbines, a number of things, and the other was meaningful groundwater legislation, introduced by me as an initiative and picked up by the Counties Association. But the fact of the matter is, we are an administrative arm of state government. We have no power other than that granted by the state. So all of the comments made are directed, I guess, in a direction that you'd like to see occur. And I'm telling you, that's happening behind the scenes. But I can't go down to Madison, nor can any of these other people, and poke somebody in the eye and say, you're going to do this. The vast majority of votes in this state occur from the Milwaukee and Madison areas, the Fox Valley, due to population numbers. We have to speak to the right people, make sure that message doesn't fall on deaf ears, and gather widespread support. It's that simple. And Supervisor Wagner made the comment, it's going to take legislative action, but don't think for 1 minute that we have not pursued that at every level. I spend probably half my time with the state legislature working on those issues. Enough blame to go around. We understand the issue. It is being worked on. So, is there any additional public comment? Supervisor Hendler?
There we go. I'm not very good at technology. I'm not the most eloquent or graceful speaker, but I have been around government long enough to understand that things do work slowly. But I am also convinced that this county board is very much aware of the problems that are in front of us. But I also know that I know this individual, Mr. Wagner, for a little over 10 years. I know that he's very thorough in what he does. He does things according to the rules, and he does it with compassion. And I worry about people that do not give us a chance to deal with these issues. We hear them every day, and as I said, I've been in government a long time. I think we need to be very patient about the way we go, but we also need to be very thorough. And the thoroughness comes from this individual. Mr. Wagner and I have been at odds at many issues, but I can also recognize when I see something that is right and done right. And I don't think we'll get anything done through character assassinations. I think we need to stick together as a team to get this done. That means the public and the elected officials. And we will be successful, but you have to remain patient in doing it. Thank you.
I'm going to turn this meeting over at this time to Vice Chairman Minor. I will make one additional comment that was made at the groundwater protection meeting yesterday, subcommittee meeting. I am going to try for the June meeting to have John Holcomer up here, the outreach director for the Wisconsin Counties Association, who I think most people in this room would agree has thorough knowledge, not only in this area, but any other questions that might arise that deal with sightings, groundwater protection, surface water protection, and the rest. And we'll make every attempt to get him here at that meeting, if not the July meeting. So, Supervisor Minor, microphone is yours. You might want to start right up there.
Okay, we're done with public.
You've got acknowledgements and recognitions next on the agenda.
So as an educator, can you hear, is this on? I'm too short. Is it? No, is it on? There we go. Do I need to hold this up? Maybe I do. So as an educator, I always try to put levity into my presentations. So because we have 2 retirements to go with today, and Mr. Minor, Supervisor Minor has already told me his is pretty dry, I am going to go ahead and tell you about a few things. 20 perks about being old enough to retire. And I'm not reading all 20, I'm just going to read 4. Kidnappers are not very interested in you. In a hostage situation, you're likely to be released first. People call at 9 p.m. and ask, did I wake you? And things you buy now won't wear out, okay? So then the other little section is, you know you're a retiree if you sing along with elevator music. Your idea of a night out is sitting on the patio. You wonder how you could be over the hill when you don't even remember being on top of the hill. And the last one is, getting lucky means you remember where you left your car in the parking lot. Okay, you can laugh because I thought they were really cute. I looked up some jokes for retirement, and some of them are pretty naughty, so I didn't choose any of them. So Kathy, would you come forward, please, while we honor your years in Wood County and a life dedicated to human services issues. So as Kathy comes forward, you know that Kathy Redder has been our Human Services Director since 11/10, November of 11/10. Oh, I better get this before I forget that. Oh, that's the wrong one. You don't want that one, do you? November 2010, okay? Kathy is a fellow nurse. I've always been very proud to be chair of a committee that had like 4 nurses in department heads. That was always a wonderful thing. Kathy got her diploma in nursing from Evanston Hospital School of Nursing in Evanston, Illinois in 1975. And I didn't realize that that was also the year she got married, and that was also the year I got married. So we have a couple of things in common. Started her career in mental health in the area of substance abuse, moved through a counselor role, a nurse clinician role in a cocaine program. Then she went to Northwest in Chicago and worked in a substance abuse program before she went to Racine in similar positions. Came to Wood County in 1996 as the director of nursing at Norwood Health Center in Marshfield. I thought it was interesting as we were talking last week at the WICSA conference about some of this, and she remembers well the application process in 1996 and what she had to do, and remarked that because of the application process that we had in place at the time, that she almost thought about not applying because it was a rather cumbersome type of thing, and of course not electronic at all. She was promoted to the deputy director. At the time we had a Department of Social Services and a Department of Unified Services. So she was appointed as the deputy director of Unified Services in December of 1997 and served in that capacity really through May of 2007. She was the acting Norwood Health Center administrator for a number of months in 2002. And then she became director of Unified Services in May of 27 and until October of 2010. We had a decrease of our county board members. I think it was in 08 or 09, went from 38 to 19. We had a huge county government reorganization. We put together a lot of committee changes, and then we lost our director of social services and decided to combine unified services and social services, and Kathy was chosen as our director of that human services department in November of 2010, and she has continued in that position until her retirement. She's had a 41-year career in human services. She's been active at the local, regional, and state levels, advocating for services delivered by human services departments in Wisconsin counties. Last week at the WICSA conference in Elkhart Lake, she was awarded the Distinguished Service Award for exemplary services and contribution to the organization. So her dedication and advocacy at the state level they were recognized. Kathy is a talented quilter who loves to read and bike, not at the same time, because I think that would be distracted biking. We don't want that. And with these hobbies and interests, I'm certain that Kathy is retiring from work, but not from life. We want to thank Kathy for her service to Wood County, for her advocacy and dedication to services that are provided by human services across our state, and we would like to wish her every future success. Join me in wishing her a happy retirement.
This is my
my last time standing before you as the Human Service Director, and I wanted to thank you for the 20 years of working here in Wood County. It's been an interesting journey, having come from another state, learning how things are done in Wisconsin, and particularly learning about the work of counties. And it's very different from the state it came from, and it's been a very exciting career change for me. I want to express my gratitude to the employees of the Human Services Department and the work that they do. It's a very challenging work, very difficult work at times. They're called out during the night for situations. They give up weekends to do things, and they work with some very challenging people that live in our county. But they go about that, and they do that in a very thoughtful, a very respectful way. I'd also like to thank the Human Services Administrative Team, an excellent group of administrators here in Wood County. I think the county board needs to learn more about them and the strengths and skills that they have. They do fantastic work. They're paying attention to the latest research and trying to make changes that affect people's lives in very positive ways. They model what I think all of us would like to model for the citizens here. They listen to the concerns, they try to problem solve. They don't take them away, but they try to help support people in making changes in their lives. Lastly, I'd like to thank Donna Rosner, the Chair of Health and Human Services, for her support. She's often asked challenging questions about various things within the department, but she always had an open ear and was willing to sort of hear different perspectives on issues. And finally, I'd also like to thank Lance Fimmel, who's not here at this point, someone that I remember when I walked into my first personnel department meeting when I was as a Unified Services Deputy Director and looking to make some changes with some staffing patterns. He was very thoughtful, asked a lot of good questions, I thought, very supportive of myself, and I appreciate that very much. Lastly, I'm looking forward to the next chapter in my life. I will have my first summer off in 50 years, and I'm looking forward to that as well. So thank you, and good luck to you.
So now I introduce a Vice Chairman Dry Speech Minor, okay?
So many things to say, and I just can't do it. Just ticks me off. Terry Rickaby, if you would come forward, please. The other retirement going on in Wood County is also a long-term employee with us. Terry started back in 1991, in August of 1991, but I found out today, or a few days ago, that he actually put his application in January of 1990. So when everybody complains about HR turnaround time, by God, we're better than 18 months now. So I just want to throw that out there. And actually the reason was Terry had applied for a different position within the maintenance department, didn't apply for the maintenance department head position, but in August of 91, when former HR director Doug Maurer called and says, Terry, have we got a deal for you? We brought Terry on board. Terry brings a lot of experience in his previous employment. He worked at Preway here in Rapids, Schreiber Foods, was a laborer with Kramer and Bolt Construction, and then helped build turbines that are actually used up in Weston, Wisconsin right now. So he brought a wealth of maintenance knowledge. When Terry got here, he restructured the rent. We'd always had the rent, and everybody talks about the rent payments that go to the maintenance department to fund the maintenance department. Terry was in charge of restructuring that, so those rents actually made sense for improved areas, not improved areas, storage areas, so everything made sense. So when we go to charge back different entities for those, that it made some sense. He's seen a lot of remodeling, and we've certainly seen it here at this courthouse. A lot of remodeling, stuff that was back in 1991. Most of this courthouse is not in the same spot anymore. Stuff has moved around, and he's been in charge of remodeling. Terry always looks for the long-term and most economical solution. I'm not saying Terry is cheap, he is not. But if we were cheap, we would have put another rubber roof on this building. Terry looks for the long-term viability of any project that he does, and that will be definitely missed. We were going to miss his expertise and his knowledge and his historical perspective. After you've been in a place for 25 years, you learn a lot of things about this old barn that I call, and we're certainly going to miss that. But he's already said to his successor, whoever that may be, that he's just a phone call away. If you want to run something by him, he's already offered to be a free, I guess I didn't talk about that today, a free consultant. Yeah, there. He will continue as chair of the town of Saratoga, where I've known Terry for many years, being a fellow town chairman. He's going to spend a lot of time up north, and he's got a bunch of trips to Colorado and Florida, so he's going to enjoy retirement. But from a personal note, Terry, I have thoroughly enjoyed working for you. I've learned a lot about building maintenance that even I take home with me on my maintenance. So we're going to miss you, and I certainly appreciate your service to Wood County. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You bet.
It's really been fun, and it's been trying. With an old building like this, the heating and the cooling has just been horrendous. And I'd like to say, since we went down to 18 or 19 board members, it's been so much a pleasure because there was no micromanaging of our departments any longer. And I appreciate that, and I thank you.
Here, and I'm going to tear this place apart. I apologize. At this point, folks, we've been here an hour. Let's go ahead and take a little break. Supervisor Mahan, right after the break, let's bring up the STEM project at that point. So let's take about a 5-minute break, stretch our legs, and make a walk down the hall and fill our coffees up. And we'll be back here in about 5-10 minutes. Speech before back into the packet. At this point, we are going to call on Supervisor Mahan to introduce the special order of business concerning the STEM building update. Supervisor Mahan, if you would, please.
I don't know how this thing's going to work here.
Turn it on.
You can pull it.
You have your problems.
I got the paper down if you need it.
Yes. I can't hear. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Pro Tem.
Yes.
Indeed, the UW Commission has been very busy these last 9 months, as you're well aware of. We basically had stumbled a bit out of the blocks, but we recovered very quickly thanks to a fine group of commissioners and staff up there, and with the help of the people I am about to introduce. But first, before we go any further, I would like to acknowledge the other commissioners that sit here on the county board as part of the UW Commission, those being Supervisor Roser and Supervisor Albry, who have been a part of this process from the beginning and understand many of the things that we're going to talk about today. So without further ado, I would like to bring forward the team that the UW Commission had chosen for a construction manager and architects. You guys want to come forward, please? I want to tell a little anecdotal story here as they're walking up. I remember when I first became part of the UW Commission, I can remember then past Dean Pat Stewart talking about building a new STEM building on the campus. And she mentioned the fact that she was going to make this happen. She was going to build this STEM building. We were going to do this, and we were going to do it with 25% public money and 75% private donations. And I can remember thinking to myself, yeah, that's going to work. And the cheese and the moon is made out of cheese. But here we are today, and we are about on the cusp of accomplishing that. So what I would like to do here is introduce the team that has been working on this project from the start. First, from Bray Architects is Steve Coonan and Allison Mistel, and they will give the first part of the presentation in a moment. And I would also like to introduce up front from Myron Construction, Sherry Wall and David Voss. So those are our team that we've been working with as a commission up there. They've done an outstanding job for us, collaborating together as well as with the commission, the steering committee, as the dean could vouch for in the back, also the staff, the campus group, and the UW Systems group. So if you would, I'm going to allow them to give their presentations, and then we will come back for questions at the end. Thank you. Steve.
Okay. Thank you, Doug. Just getting the signal up here. Okay, I thought we'd just kind of take you through the plans and just sort of update you. I think the last time most of you saw anything on this, it was probably before we had revisited the plan. In other words, there was an initial concept done probably 2 years ago. And when this team got on board, we were asked to take another look at it, just to kind of, it had been 2 years. We wanted to really make sure we were going down the right path. And what it did is we came up with probably 6 or 7 different options for the the campus. And we thought it was important to sort of step back a little bit and kind of look at a master plan approach to this. In other words, what would happen or leave the campus a way to move forward after this project. And I think what we felt was the initial concept didn't quite do that. It was kind of creating a dead end off the current front of the building. So we said, let's create a kind of a connection between the existing buildings that would allow us to connect even further down the road, and that's what this plan does. The sort of ceremonial front of the building, or the practical front of the building, is now changed, and we're looking at it off to the north of the project, which is where the majority of students and visitors come. So we thought it made a lot of sense. You can see in this image, the yellow portion is the new STEM building. It's connected to the existing science building, and there is the potential to link it to the main building to the left of this image, and also to the current administration building. So in the future, as the campus grows, there will be a natural kind of circuitous path throughout the building, and it will link all the different components of the building. So this is zooming in on the actual STEM building itself. You can see the Leopold building to the bottom of the page. The south is the existing science building. The new yellow portion is what you're seeing here. It's a 2-story building. This is the first floor plan. It includes a microbiology and a physiology classroom. There's a CNA lab / community room to the left. This is really a room is being designed to be very flexible, so it could be used for multiple things. Right now, they're going to put the CNA lab in there, but it could be used for lectures, it could be used for community use, a number of different things. One of the other things we've tried to accommodate here is to create a student space within the corridor space. So those corridors aren't just for going to and fro classroom. It's really to create space within the corridors for students to kind of have some collaboration time outside of the classroom, some study areas and that sort of thing. And as part of that, we've created this student commons. You can see it off to the left there, the STEM student commons, and that would also be kind of a mini library in a way that students can go there if they're connecting with their professors or doing collaborative work. They can use that commons area, and then in the evening it could be used for community events, gatherings, that sort of thing. The other thing this does is allows for natural light to be maintained in the Leopold building, and that's why we sort of connected it with a link so that we're going to get as much natural light into the building as possible. So on the second floor, we're showing 2 state-of-the-art chemistry labs and the support spaces in the center of those. Storage areas and prep rooms. There's a cadaver room in there. Those types of things. And you can see again in the corridor to the top of the plan is a space that is not only a corridor, but it'll be used for student presentations as well, and lectures, that sort of thing. And then we've also created faculty offices that are accessed off the corridor, and that's again to get them out, to get them as close to the students as possible, rather than put them in the back, kind of in a back corridor, so to speak. This will have them ready access to all the students, and also access to those student collaboration areas. So that's kind of the plan in a nutshell. Lots of natural light, lots of state-of-the-art classroom spaces, and so what the building is going to look like. It was important that this, because we're changing the front entrance, we really wanted this to be kind of a beacon for the front entrance. And one of our major donors, Mr. Roll, who was contacted and collaborated with on the early designs, really just wanted to make sure that this had a really strong presence. And so this, you can see that center area there with the clear story, that's the windows up high, is really going to become the new sort of entry to the campus, and it'll be directly off of the parking lot. We've expanded the parking lot a little bit to get handicapped access here. But the idea with the form is to tie into the existing materials on campus. The brick colors will match what is there, and then introduce the metal area. The sort of greenish area is going to, the intent there is to match some of the metal, the copper that's on the existing building. So we're really giving it a fresh, new, light look, but at the same time keeping it within the material context of the. So I think that'll kind of do it for us. Sure. You want to?
Sure. Thanks, Steve. Dave or Sherry, which one are you going to take? Dave, okay.
Yeah, so really, it's been quite the treat to work with the team that we have. It's been a very collaborative experience, going back and forth between really trying to find that sweet spot on where can we get as much into the building as possible while still maintaining the budget. We've had a lot of great collaboration between the groups, and I think we've really designed a fantastic, or I shouldn't say we, the team's really put a fantastic looking building together, and it right now is within budget, with hopes to be out for bid by the end of June. So just a quick rundown, I guess, of the schedule, the upcoming schedule for the next few months. The goal would be to be out for bid and have bids back by the end of June. We would then get back to the steering committee to go through the bids, make sure everything's within budget. And then the overall goal would be to be mobilized and in the ground digging sometime mid-July. So I guess that's the quick snapshot of the next few months. I guess with that, Doug, is there any further questions on?
That's it.
A quick snapshot of the next couple months.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Supervisor Hamilton.
Yeah, I got two. What is CNA? On that first, your second slide, what's it?
Oh, CNA. Did you say CNA?
CNA.
Certified Nursing Assistant.
Oh, so that's
May I speak to that?
Yes.
Let me turn this on. And let me explain to you why the CNA square footage is necessary. In order to get admitted to nursing schools now, they have to have CNA certification. Right. And so we see, because I teach for UW-Eau Claire College of Nursing, we see the CNA program at the Wood as a feeder program into our nursing college. And so it's critical that we retain some CNA teaching square footage so that we can admit them then into our nursing program, into the BSN program.
Well, I apologize, I didn't connect to it in my ballot. But can we get this sent to us?
Yeah. The schedule.
That's scheduled into everything. That'd be great.
I think it's one thing, Steve didn't mention it in his presentation, but I think one of the important things in the new building is, other than the updating of the chemistry and biology labs, which are going to become state of the art, we have a cadaver room. which is critical in this day and age.
A dead body.
Yeah, well, yeah, I know what a cadaver is. Is that actually what you're going to be storing in there? Or?
Yes.
Hence the nomination process.
Any other questions? If there's no other questions, then follow along with us because it's going to get interesting. We're on track to break ground, I believe, on July 25th. Is that correct? July 25th? Around
Mid-July.
Yeah, mid-July. We're saying mid-July. Okay, so we will get copies of those schedules to anybody that wants them. Just let me know, and we will make sure you get one.
Just what is the target date, end date?
It's on the schedule. I believe it would be
To be fully wrapped up with the remodel, as the portion of the remodel would be by the end of August 25th. So we're ready for the following next August.
Oh, okay. 2017.
Give us years when you do this,
Yeah, the logistics between the finishing the stem and renovation of the Leopold are going to be critical. But we're already addressing. Okay, if there's no other questions, I'll thank the team once more. It really has been a pleasure working with these people. They've done an outstanding job with not only the taxpayers' money, but also the donations that we receive from the public. And I, for one, really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
And if you guys could if you could just email the presentation, the stuff that Supervisor wants to the county clerk, she can disseminate that for you, so you don't have to worry about that. Thank you. Any other questions? Thanks, Will. Appreciate it. With that, let's go back into the packet, which brings me to page 42. And that would be the Health and Human Services Committee meeting of April 28th, and that goes from pages 42 to 44. Community Care of Central Wisconsin board minutes from Wednesday, March 30th on pages 45 through 48. North Central Community Action Program Incorporated minutes from Monday, April 11th on page 49 and 50. Human Services Department report for their meeting runs from pages 51 to 54. The Health Department report, starting with Sue Kumperman's report on pages 55 to 59. Edgewater Haven report on page 60. County Veterans Service Officer report on page 61. And that brings me to a resolution on page 62 brought forward by the Health and Human Services Committee and the Executive Committee. Mr. Clerk, please read that resolution.
This will be Resolution 16-5-4 to create one full-time crisis interventionist position. Oh, I'm sorry. That's me. Here we are. To create a crisis interventionist position in order to respond to crisis phone calls and to provide mental health assessments for individuals that law enforcement believes are in need of emergency detention. Fiscal note, the expenses associated with wages and fringes for this position will be covered by offsetting revenues associated with new charges for these services. Crisis interventionist position, wages and fringes will total $70,492.68.
You've heard that resolution. I have a motion by Hamilton and a seconded by Rozar. Is there any discussion on this resolution? Supervisor Clendenning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am voting against this because I don't think it's mandatory that we do it. I think we ought to just see how our current crisis intervention is doing before we hire somebody new. I think we're just rushing into this. Should not do that. Many other departments, looking at what we just did in conservation, we waited till we see we needed somebody, and then we hired somebody. I just don't think this had enough discussion. I've been at the meetings. It came down from the state that we have to do this. I don't think we we have to hire somebody. We already got somebody in that position. Let's see if the workload does increase. Thank you.
Further discussion, Supervisor Zerflu.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I rise in support. Drawing on my 37 years in law enforcement, there's nothing more frustrating when we deal with a subject and we have to wait because we don't have the help at hand to get out there. And as chief, I paid a lot of overtime, and my officers had to wait 3 or 4 or 5 hours for somebody to show up for crisis to make the evaluation. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any further discussion? Supervisor Curry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In the resolution, we talked about a fee. Is there any idea what the fee is going to be and how we anticipate collecting that to be for this? A portion of this, I would assume.
Supervisor Rosar.
There are 3 ways that these fees are paid, and they're paid by private insurances, they're paid by individuals who make this phone call and need to be evaluated for mental health reasons, and they're also paid by Medicaid. So the fees, you charge, but you don't always get paid back what the fee was. So the reimbursement is dependent on those 3 entities. Any collections that are due by private parties, we pursue those just like we do at Edgewater Haven, and Corp Counsel frequently gets involved in that, in trying to collect those. So the fees are made and then they're paid by those 3 entities. And notice that the revenue will offset the cost of this service. And so that is going to be monitored by the Health and Human Services Committee to make sure, see what the result of that is. If I answered that question, I'd like to speak again to the issue after Mr. Curry is finished with his question.
Supervisor Curry, did you need a follow-up?
I appreciate it.
Supervisor Rosar.
Okay, I appreciate Supervisor Clendenian's concern about this, but I would like to inform the county board that we really have been having rising call volumes. And currently, the person that answers the crisis line and intervenes with this also has other responsibilities at the place where these calls come in. And so when the person who has these additional responsibilities is dealing with an increased call volume, it has been a very difficult thing for that person to cover both of those responsibilities. And with this law coming in, there's now going to be a time requirement and an increased assessment of the caller to make sure that there really is a mental health crisis, and then to deal with that in a timely manner. And so that is the reason for this additional person bringing them in, to not only get this mental health evaluation and assessment done in a timely manner, but to also help with the increasing call volume with the mental health issues that are unfortunately increasing in our society.
Supervisor Leitnam.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Just looking at the last 3 whereases, we only have 1 person in that position right now doing the math. 350 to 400 situations like that a year. I'm going to vote for this. I think it's needed.
Further discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. That resolution passes 16-2. Thank you. That brings us back into the packet on page 63, which is the Conservation, Education, and Economic Development Committee meeting of Wednesday, April 6th. And those minutes run from pages 63 through 68. We have the minutes Minutes also of the Seed Committee from Wednesday, May 4th in the packet. Those run from pages 69 to 73. Supervisor Hinkle.
Thank you, Mr. Acting Chairman. I just want to point out that within this committee, within this part of the packet, you have 5 pages, activity reports of our Land and Water Conservation Department and those of our code administrator who handles shoreline counts administration and floodplain. You see these every month. Every month there are activities going on that are working, where our staff is working hard to protect our water through these various projects. There's been a lot of negative comment, but I can't tell you, these guys are doing exactly what they can do. They're using their authority, they're using the grants, they're using their experience, their connections. They're doing what they can to protect the waters of Wood County.
That brings me back into the packet on page 74, which are the assorted meetings of the Golden Sands Resource Conservation and Development Council, Golden Sands RC&D. Those run from pages 74 through 79. Minutes of the Central Wisconsin Economic Development Board of Wednesday, March 30th, run from pages 80 to 83.
Mr. Chairman, Elon Pro Tem.
I've been called so many things today, and all of them have been relatively tame. Supervisor Rozar, if you would, please.
I just rise to number 1, thank this county board for their support of the highway infrastructure improvements that we're doing. You know, I'm a huge believer that public safety and infrastructure is a responsibility of government. And so when you look at this economic development fund, I truly believe that the infrastructure development that we're willing to invest in will improve the economic development in our county. And so this board is to be commended for their support of that infrastructure.
Thank you. I'm on page 84 with the Central Housing Region Housing Committee meeting of September 24th of last year. And that runs 2 pages on 84 and 85. I have assorted reports from the Land and Water Conservation Department that run from pages 86 through 90. I have assorted reports from the UW Extension folks that run from pages 91 to 95. Planning and zoning reports to the Seed Committee that run from pages 96 through 99. That brings me to a resolution. Without objection of the board, I'd like to take all these planning or these zoning things together. There are 3 of them from Saratoga, Grand Rapids, and Auburndale. Without objection of the board, we'll take them in one big mouthful unless there's objection to it. Seeing none, I would ask the clerk please read those 3 resolutions.
Okay, we're on page 100. This resolution will be numbered 16-5-5 to approve a zoning amendment to the Town of Saratoga zoning ordinance. Fiscal note, no county expenditure. We're on page 117, which is item 4-2, which will be numbered resolution 16-5-6 to approve a zoning amendment to the Town of Grand Rapids zoning ordinance. Fiscal note, no county expenditure. Page 119, which is item 4-3, which will be numbered resolution 16-5-7 to approve a zoning amendment to the Town of Auburndale zoning ordinance. Fiscal note, no county expenditure.
I have a motion by Supervisor Clendenning, a seconded by Supervisor Lightnum. Is there any discussion on any 3 of these resolutions? Supervisor Clendenning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One thing, I really appreciate it. This is something that's mandatory, is the fact that these towns are doing this, that it has to be approved by the county board. And that does not often happen. And maybe somebody else could answer this question. What happens if somebody approves a zone change, say in the town of Saratoga, and it don't come before the county board? And a year later somebody says, well, I don't think that should be zoned that. Is it zoned that because they didn't come to the county? What ruling does it have? It don't probably make any difference to the town because they're going to zone it anyway. So I'm just wondering, what would happen a year from now if somebody disapproved of something that a town did and did not get the approval of the county board?
Planning and Zoning Director Greenberg, please.
Thank you. Okay, since we do have countywide zoning, part of the process of doing a zoning amendment is to have that zoning amendment approved by the county board. So if the town makes a zoning change, they don't submit it to the board for approval or review, it's not complete. So at the town level, if somebody wants to challenge the zoning change, they can, and there's a good chance that they will win. So it is real important for towns to work with the county and have the county make the final approval on those zoning map and zoning text changes. Thank you.
That answers it, Bill?
Yes.
Okay. Further discussion on any of the three? Supervisor Hinkle, if you would, please.
Thank you, Mr. Acting Chair. I just wanted to clarify that Wood County approves these as not in conflict with any of our zoning. This doesn't mean that we're approving of any of the individual actions or zoning things, and it doesn't make us liable for anything that they do that's out of line.
Any other discussion on the three?
It's limited to 4.
Further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. That resolution passes unanimously. Thank you. That brings me to page 120, if I'm keeping track and flipping as fast as I can. 123. Yeah, 123, thank you. Minutes of the Judicial Legislative Committee of April 19th is on page 123. The minutes of the Judicial Legislative Committee meeting of May 6th is on pages 124 through 126. Minutes of this Water Protection Subcommittee on page 127. And their meeting of May 2nd on page 128. The Criminal Justice Task Force minutes of January 13th on pages 129 and 130. The monthly report to their Judicial Legislative Committee from the Corporation Council is on page 131. From the Child Support Agency and Brent Ruink and his staff on page 132. Assorted claims against the county run from pages 133 through 135. We have the minutes of the Highway Infrastructure and Recreation Committee on Thursday, May 5th, which run from page 136 through 139. Assorted Parks reports run from page 140 to 147. Any questions on any of those? Fairgrounds Commission report from their meeting on December 10th, or their minutes rather, on page 148. The South Central Library Board of Trustees minutes on page 149 and 150 from their meeting of March 24th of this year. Minutes of the McMillan Memorial Library Board of Trustees of their April 20th meeting run from pages 151 to 152. That does bring me to the end of the 151, 152, okay. That brings me to the end of the packet. At this point, we do have another special order of business. I would call on Jason Greenberg to come forward and present the update on the River Block building. Jason, if you would, please.
Morning, everyone.
Good morning.
This will be a much more brief update if the bonding wasn't approved, so just so you know, but I'll try to keep it short anyway here. I just want to thank the board for maintaining course with the project here too, and approving the $5 million, up to $5 million of bonding for the River Block and Courthouse project. This really is a great opportunity for the county. I think that this will help us meet the space needs for the county for a generation to come here. It will also better serve the public, it'll provide a good working environment for the employees, And we'll probably do a lot of this work within a very short time frame of maybe about a year, depending on how the timelines shake out here. I want to again thank everybody that's been involved in the process here, the executive committee, the subcommittee on Annex and River Block, the advisory committee that's been meeting pretty much on a monthly basis and probably working on this on a daily basis. And just everybody that's talked to me along the way to ask questions and learn more about the project. I have a hard time giving an update to the board here because I feel like you already, many of you know what's going on because we've been talking about this project so much. But I will try to give you an update of where things are at. Right now, regards to River Block, we have RFP out for construction manager, and we will be doing a shortlist selection on Thursday, and the following Monday we will select a construction manager. With that being said, there's a good possibility we may have construction beginning in that building this summer, and a possibility of having people in there this fall. It's a very optimistic possibility, and one thing that concerns me is that I've been hearing a lot of contractors are very busy right now, so that's something that we may be contending with here. Much of the approval for sidewalk work at River Block has been approved by the Weed-Witter Foundation, so we can begin work on that. I've talked to the Highway Department about getting lots paved over there by River Block between 2nd Ave, 3rd Ave, and Jackson Street, and we may be able to get that work done sometime in July. We're breaking down furniture in the building so that we can determine what we need and can be used in the building for the new offices that are there. And we probably will have to look at how we get rid of some of that furniture because there is more furniture than we'll ever use over there. We don't want the furniture to slow down the construction process, so that's why we're addressing that issue right now. Sanitary sewer line work continues in the building, so on first floor, we have a few holes cut in the concrete. We're recoating the sanitary sewer line. We want to get that done now so that doesn't hold up the construction process as well. We have undesignated space or unfilled space in River Block building. It makes up about 9,000 square feet. And we've been working with departments to try and find out how they could fit in the floor plan over there. And I've worked with Land and Water Conservation, Shane Walker-Fenne, director, as well as Chad Schooley, Parks and Forestry director, to get some preliminary drawings in place. So, and they'll fit in that building real well. And as time goes on, we will find out other uses for the undesignated space over there. In regards to the courthouse, we've been busy looking at the clerk's office. Right, Cindy? And we have a plan that she signed off on, and tomorrow the executive committee is going to sign off on that plan, hopefully, and that will allow us to proceed with construction in the auditorium. I talked to Ruben Van Tassel in the maintenance department, and he's been doing an outstanding job working with the departments in the courthouse in developing layouts that meet their department needs, but are also very conservative in nature, meaning they shouldn't cost too much. Right now, we think that the cost of the clerk's move might be around $80,000. A lot of what impacts our pricing is how much we can do in-house and how much we have to contract out, and also the timelines we're working with. So those are some factors that will push the price up and down in a lot of cases. As far as other department movement in the courthouse, we're studying on floor plans for like IT and dispatch, veterans. We're to a point where we have preliminary layouts. We don't have an idea what the cost of those moves will be. Ruben's been putting a lot of time into this, and as his time allows, those numbers will be coming forward. But as I said before, he's taken a very practical and conservative approach to doing this work in the courthouse. Well, the parking in the annex, Chairman Plimmel's been talking to Mayor Ruink, and they have some ideas on how we could work something out where the city acquires the annex and the county gains some parking downtown. Some dialogue has taken place, but there's nothing that's been settled on yet, so we should probably in another week or two have some more information on that. The annex is pretty much ready. We're getting to the point where it could change ownership. If you look out the window, you'll see there's a storage container out there. The storage container contains a lot of the records that were in the annex building. And Supervisor Clendenning is in charge of recycling in the building, so we're taking as much of the building that we can to recycle and giving that to two entities that could use the items. And I'll wrap it up at this point here and allow some time for questions if there are any.
Any questions or comments? The only one I have a comment is what I was surprised at in the auditorium where the clerk is moving is that stage is poured concrete. It's poured. So it's not just a matter of taking the stage apart and putting it up and getting out of there. That puppy is there for the long term. If you want it out, it's going to cost a lot more. So I applaud the clerk and Ruben for coming up with a plan that will work for them in that area. It just surprised me that they would actually pour that up like that back in the 50s. So.
Yeah, it's not moving anywhere.
Yeah, it's not going. It's there. It's there.
No, that caused our biggest problem in trying to make it usable, in that scenario. So Ruben's been wonderful to work with, and truly our footprint is really going to be very, very, very similar, but with a couple of enhancements that we've needed.
Further comments? Supervisor Leitnam.
Jason, is the laying of the IT cables, are they going to lay on the bottom of the river, or is there going to be a floor underneath?
This is a better question for Amy.
IT Director Culver, if you can grab a microphone, please.
She's been taking the lead on all the IT-related items with River Block, and we greatly appreciate that.
It is our hope that the fiber will go under the river. We are working with the city right now. I'm working with the city engineer. We're trying to construct it so that if there's any future use for the county or city needs coming this way, they're on the other side of the river coming back. We're really trying to make it so no matter what the city or county does in the future, it's expensive to go under the river, but it's going to save the county hundreds of thousands of dollars to own the fiber between our two locations instead of paying a data connection fee every month, which we do to our other locations. But we are hoping it does go under the river.
The reason I raised that question is when Enbridge tried to go under the Wisconsin River with their pipeline, they lost a borehead. So, I mean, that can be significant. Maybe time should be allowed if that's the choice.
And the company that we're currently working with is Van Oort, and they have done business with the different mills in the area that have taken fiber under the river. So they do have experience with that. Not saying that this part of the river or this section of the river won't have different obstacles for them, but they do have experience going under this river.
Further questions and comments for Jason? As always, Jason, thank you very much. We appreciate your hard work on this. Moving forward.
Just want to add one thing. If anybody has questions along the way, just please stop in or give me a call. I know I've been sending a lot of things out to you and filling your email box up, but just give me a call if you have any questions. Thank you.
A couple of housekeeping notes before I take a motion to adjourn. Jason talked about the recycling. I'm assuming a lot of that is going to the Choose to Reuse event, I'm betting. So I was going to give Supervisor Clendenning about 3 seconds to plug the Choose to Reuse event coming up in the town of Grand Rapids. Bill, if you want to go for it.
Thank you. I don't like to talk at these meetings. Our Choose to Reuse effort is going on Saturday the 21st from 8 in the town of Grand Rapids from 8 in the morning till 2 in the afternoon. If you have things, please bring them early. We get truckloads at 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock, and we just can't handle them. We have to turn them away. And then they end up in the county forest and in the road ditches and stuff like that. So
Use the Boy Scouts.
please get it. And to let you know, we take all refrigerators, microwave ovens, all the stoves, refrigerators, dehumidifiers. We take that all free. If you have to take that to a place to have it recycled, it would cost you a lot of money.
What's the address of that?
18, that's 28th and 2 Mile. 28th and 2 Mile. We do charge for TVs. Now, TVs under 27 inch is going to be $10, and monitors above that is $25. And we took in over 800 TVs 3 years ago, but the price has gone down because a store in Stevens Point took 4 of your TVs free no matter what size. They stopped that this year, so they no longer take them. We also take batteries, car batteries, and we recycle flashlight batteries. And I get a lot of the flashlight batteries from the different churches around. And I went to take it to my recycler, and he charged me, was going to charge me 70 cents a pound. I found another recycler that'll take them free. So we take batteries, we take oil, we don't take no pesticides.
Fluorescent bulbs?
No, we don't take fluorescent bulbs. The guy ahead of me does that. Do you take fluorescent bulbs where you are?
We do, but we gotta take them here to Rapids.
Yeah.
We gotta pay for them.
I say Arbordale Recycling up there takes some of those things. Okay, I hope you show up, and we need the volunteers. I or nobody gets paid for that day, so if you can give a couple hours, we appreciate it. It's good for your election if you want to get elected. You can shake hands with people that really need things.
Give Mr. Clendenning a microphone, and there we go.
But he doesn't like to talk.
Thank you. Supervisor Ashbeck.
Thank you, Mrs. Chairman. Oh, I got it.
I thought I was going to hit you.
Just been there, we had over the last Saturday, we worked with the Shaw Wrecking Yard out of Marshfield, and we had all the 85 TVs between the village of Miller and the town of Sherry Miller and all those others, so that the town had to pay $25 to remove a freon, but then the thing of it is they pay for the scrap metal, whatever we take in. They weigh the dumpsters, and so that's how ours works out there.
And any of these programs, like the Choose to Reuse and any of those other recycling programs, even us out in the hinterlands appreciate those programs because like Mr. Clendenning or Supervisor Clendenning said, they always end up finding their way down in the town of Dexter and the town of Hiles, in the road ditches and every other godforsaken hole in the township. So any of those programs are certainly a worthy cause. A couple things before I let Cindy go. A couple people in the back. Amy Sue Brewing from Representative Ron Kine's office is here. If you have any issues or questions for her, go ahead and catch up with her at the end of the meeting. Also, we all, I think all of us here are married, all of us take vows of marriage, love, honor, obey, sickness, health, and everything. So kudos to Mrs. Sylvia Wagner for having to put up with us all day so that she can put up with Ed. So welcome to Sylvia as well. Cindy, what you got?
On the front table here are the proceedings books that we just completed. So if you want to review your last 2 years in service, all of the resolutions and everything that happened in the last 2 years is in that book at one. Also, you got your registration for the WCA conference. If you plan on attending, even if you can't give me your registration form today, let me know that you do plan on attending so that I can make sure we have enough rooms, get rid of rooms, that kind of thing. So just let me know what your plans are.
Are those online, Cindy? Can you get these online?
No.
You cannot?
No, I didn't put it
Do you
out
have any
there.
plans to do that?
I could.
The minutes are all online.
Yeah.
And but you'd have to go through all the minutes to find the resolutions. Is there any way you can just encapsulate that on the site?
I'm sure I can.
Any further business before the county board? Seeing none, a motion to adjourn by everybody in this room. We'll go to Supervisor Bride, seconded by Supervisor Hamilton. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, that motion does carry, and this body stands